Lou and Ben, welcome to the Shark Tank. Add to cart.
My number one thing was I'm not going to look like a fool on TV.
But if you can enable people to have an even better experience with something they already love, you're off to the races, and they're going to tell everyone about it in their community.
Welcome to Add to Cart, Australia's leading e-commerce podcast that express delivers all you need to know in the fast-moving world of online retail. Here's your host, Bushy.
Welcome back to Add to Cart. My name is Bushy, and I am joining you today from the land of the terrible people here in Brisbane, Australia. Now, I've heard a lot of origin stories from founders on this podcast, but this is the first time today that I've heard inspiration for a business from dropping something on their baby's head. What started as a late night scramble to keep a Kindle from dropping on a newborn turned into a wildly successful product called Strapsicle. And you may have seen this up in lights recently because the founders of Strapsicle, Louise Rice and Ben Stainlay, who joined me today, were just featured on episode 1, pitch 1 of Shark Tank, the new season. Lou and Ben have taken their clever Kindle accessory from a clever invention to a global business in just 2 years. Strapsicle has already clocked over $1.5 million in revenue with a solid $300K profit, and it's just the start. These two bring serious expertise from their backgrounds in creative and project management for brands such as CommBank and Woolworths in their ad days, where coincidentally they met, and they're applying every bit of it to revolutionize how we hold our devices and interact with them. Even still, what we heard today, which fascinated me, was some of the new use cases that they've discovered in their journey in how it's helping people with disabilities and health conditions enjoy the thing that they love. Today, we hear all about their Shark Tank experience, their explosive growth on Amazon, and why they think Amazon is a really healthy channel. And we talk about their plans for expanding Strapsicle's reach internationally, all while making waves on TikTok and building a dedicated community of Kindle lovers. Now, a quick reminder before we jump in. If you haven't already, I'd love to invite you to join up for my free weekly e-commerce newsletter at addtocart.com.au/subscribe. Every week, I share a key industry insight along with my 5 must-read e-commerce stories, research pieces, or case studies from the past week. It's a great way to stay informed and inspired. That's addtocart.com.au/subscribe. Now, let's get into our episode fresh from the Shark Tank. And as always, thanks to our sponsors, Shopify Plus and Deliver in Person. Let's hear it directly from Lou Rice and Ben Stainlay, founders of Strapsicle. Lou and Ben, welcome to the Shark Tank. Add to cart.
My cortisol just went through you, Nathan.
Great to have you guys here.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
What a privilege. I saw you on Shark Tank last week and I was on the edge of my seat for you, even though, I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know what the outcome was but I had a feeling it was going to be positive. But I was just gripped. Tell me what it was like being in the middle of it, because you were episode 1 of this season, first person shown on this season. So a lot of expectation, a lot of eyeballs. How do you describe that experience?
In one word, it was wild. But overall, what a once in a lifetime experience for us. We made the entry video back in May. We found out about the deadline a week before it was coming up. I was in Bali on an e-com retreat. So Ben was back in our office cutting the footage. I was recording the VO, sending it back to. So the whole journey has been an adrenaline rush because we went from making that video, you get the first call, then we went into weeks of preparation. We couldn't have been more prepared. So I think we were then just kind of waiting for they only tell you a week before your air date that you're going to be on that air date. So we got to, I think, Monday, and it was going to be on next Wednesday, starting next Wednesday. And we were messaging the producer. She's like, we can't, someone will be in touch. And then when we got that call on Wednesday, it was just all hands on deck. We had a content plan, we had a PR plan, but we just it was such a rapid paced project. It was like running at a pitch before the actual pitch. And then poor Ben was in China, not poor Ben, but Ben was in China that week, worse luck. So I'm here in Bali where we're now living. I'm trying to rally all the different marketing pieces. Ben's over there on the Canton Fair, not having a holiday by any means, but he was able to watch it on a laptop. I was able to watch it here in Bali. And it was just so surreal to see all that hard work actually culminate in just 6 minutes of talking.
Be condensed from 45 minutes into about 5 or 6 minutes.
How long are you actually in the tank for? And because it's 6 minutes on screen. Is it that short?
No, it's about 45 minutes.
Yeah, 45 minutes.
So you literally walk into that room and you do obviously the bit of preamble filming, but you walk through those doors and you are at the behest of the sharks for 45 minutes and there's no pleasantries. It's actually quite an intimate setting because they just start firing questions at you. They talk over the top of each other. They're throwing questions at each other. So you just you're going along for the ride. It's certainly not, once you've done that 2-minute pitch, it is like a free-for-all. And it's great. It's great if you've done the practice. I'm sure if you haven't, if there's a question that comes up that you wouldn't know, I think it would be a bit of a moment. But we were really lucky. We practiced so much.
I feel like the perception of the sharks is that they're really intimidating. And yes, they are. But once you get through that pitch and the nerves of that you're on camera, it's quite a good rapport that you can have. And, as long as you feel comfortable and confident that you've got the answers they're looking for, it's actually quite a nice exchange, to be honest, or at least it was for us. So, yeah, I kind of had this perception that they were going to really grill you and just crush you. But they're actually really nice people and asked really thoughtful questions.
To that point, Nathan, I think you were going to ask, how did you know what to practice? My number one thing was I'm not going to look like a fool on TV at any cost. So we went back through every last episode of last season. I think, Ben, you put a whole bunch of stuff into ChatGPT.
I put all the transcripts from Shark Tank and Dragons Den around the world into ChatGPT and said, okay, give us 30 questions that could throw us off, try and give us a deep dive into what the sharks might ask. And, then we had to sort of respond to all those questions and make sure we were really tight.
Yeah, so we literally had about 12 pages of Q&A, and then we had a fabulous business coach and we workshopped every answer with her. So we couldn't have been more prepared. So even though they were throwing questions at us that might seem quite gnarly, we were comfortable, we were confident.
You looked cool, you looked calm, you looked collected. You had your shit together.
That was just very kind editing, I think.
Kind editing. And I took a couple of beta blockers. So I was pretty chilled. I was like...
There's that cat out of the bag.
Whatever.
That's the headline tomorrow.
Yeah.
Newly invested.
Yeah. Drug addict.
Go down that path.
No, don't.
Actually, the other funny thing was that, Lou, we were on different sides. And so whenever I looked towards Lou, I could see all the cameras. So I'm freaking out. There's 8 cameras there. And when Lou's obviously looking at me or looking at the sharks, she can't see anything. So she's oblivious to these, camera arms going up and down and people moving around. And so, yeah, I think she probably had a better seat in the house.
So, like I said, I was watching with bated breath as you were pitching and the conversations were happening and you had all the sharks really interested. Jane puts her hand up and says, actually, not for me, not because I don't like the product, but just because I don't read. I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting, but okay, yep, good. But then you had 4 sharks who were really keen and made offers. And I just saw your faces and it was just this moment of, it feels like we didn't plan for this scenario. When you then took that moment to turn around and have that conversation, were you talking about? How do you make a decision at that point with that much pressure?
Well, you're right. We didn't actually plan for that to be an option. We were even just hoping to get a deal, let alone 4 on the table, and then having 2 of them want to come together as a partnership. It was quite overwhelming, to be honest. We had a very clear, objective of who we'd like if we were given the opportunity. And then when you're having 4 in front of you, it's, you have to we went away and had a bit of a chat about pros and cons and of the different situations and what we could do. Obviously, the percentages were in play. The sharks themselves were in play, what they could offer in terms of who we thought. Because they actually, in that 45 minutes, there was a lot of back and forth happening that didn't happen in the edit. There were a lot of Maxine was very enthusiastic about the products, as was Nick as well. And so you kind of don't see that. And so when Maxine showed such enthusiasm, we were like, oh, gee, maybe she really is, someone we want to have on board.
Yeah, but we honestly, when we turned around at that point, there's so much, and there's a bloody big camera in your face too, right? Like it's panning past you. So I was like, I don't want them to hear anything. So I think we were just kind of talking with our eyes a little bit, and I was doing some finger gestures, and we kind of got it, getting across that for us, Davey and Robert were kind of our dream team. Like, how cool that we kind of landed them. But Maxine she was definitely one, like throughout the pitch, I was like, she would be amazing as a female founder, the success she's built. I just knew she would be so passionate. So we were kind of doing some signals, but honestly, I think Ben's right. Like, as any probably new business owners, we're a bit naive with money and things. And so we were just focused on, let's get the deal. Let's get the deal. Let's get a deal. Let's get a TV moment. So all of a sudden, we didn't do any scenario planning. And that would be my one piece of advice. Plan as if you're going to get the deal, and plan exactly who you want and which combinations if you were going to end up with multiples.
And you said you went in there with a view on at least one investor. Did you have your priority list? And can I guess who was on the top of your priority list going in?
You can guess.
You can.
Yes.
Was it Davey?
Do you know, it was actually Davey or Robert.
Yeah.
They were kind of, so we were like, if either of those guys come forward, we're just going to pounce. And so then having both of them, it just kind of threw us completely. And
I mean, I know why you'd say, Davey with the huge success he's had, Udi being a one store product, just the replicable learnings we would be able to pull from. But then we were heading off to New York the week after, and with the US expansion is very much at the forefront of our business strategy for year 3. And so just knowing Robert could open some doors there.
Did you notice when that episode went to air? So we're talking on Friday and it went to air on Monday. Is that right?
Wednesday.
Or Monday previous? Wednesday. Did you notice a spike in immediate sales on the website when it went to air on Channel 10?
When the episode was airing, the traffic we've never seen so much traffic. I've never had 1,000 people on the site at once. Like, that was such an exciting moment for me. And then the sales, absolutely, they surged by about 250%.
Was your last e-commerce experience blasé or beautiful? Online retailers have dozens of touch points with shoppers, but the delivery experience is the one touch point that stays with shoppers far beyond the checkout. Picture this. You've purchased a product you love online. It's crickets until you come home to find a sad-looking, dented package left unattended at your door. Sometimes that's all it takes to turn anticipation into heartbreaking frustration. How can you tell if this is happening to your customers? NPS, or Net Promoter Score, is a critical indicator. The average NPS in e-commerce is just 50. Deliver in Person, the delivery experts who create remarkable post-purchase experiences, consistently gets around 98 NPS. Deliver in Person has already helped brands such as July, Samsonite, The Party People be even more adored by their customers. How can they help you turn the last mile into the first smile that shoppers have when they think about your brand? Find out at deliverinperson.com.
And then for us, I think, so the next 4 or 5 days at least, that traffic remained super high, sales super high, but conversion rate was dropped, as you could imagine, because you've got all these people, first-time visitors, a lot of sticky beakers just checking you out. They're not interested in buying. So I'm so excited that we set up instant audiences, because I know he was on your podcast last week. So seeing the amount of people who have gone into those flows, I mean, yeah, that's fantastic opportunity. So not only like people talk about it as maybe in Australia you might not get the sales uplift you want. You think you would, but I think really it's a huge potent PR opportunity that you can maximize on that additional traffic to your site.
Amazing. So take us back to the start. For anyone who hasn't caught the Shark Tank wave, can you share what Strapsicle is and how you came up with the idea?
It was 3 a.m. I was breastfeeding my newborn son, Archie, and I was reading my Kindle, and I nodded off for a sec and dropped it on his head. Ben ran in. He freaked it. We were all freaking out. And then the very next day, luckily, Ben's a creative director and he's a problem solver at heart. And he's also a hoarder, and he will hoard just all these things around the house that are just to do with maybe solving problems. Luckily, he had a silicone mat, and he cut a strap out of it and he stapled it together, gave it to me to use. I started using it after a couple of months. I was like, there's no way I can go back to a naked Kindle. It just feels so comfortable and so secure. And so we were so lucky. We were on mat leave. We weren't, neither of us were working at that point. It was COVID. No one was going out. So we thought, let's give it a go.
Amazing. And, Ben, you're just trying to save your family from harm, really.
Well, I do what I can to try and protect my kid from even people like Lou throwing Kindles around. Yeah, Lou said I'm a bit of a hoarder. So I did have this, I've got this like treasure trove of things in this little sort of garage laundry area. And it was just like, hang on, I've got something perfect for that. Cut it out, stapled it up. It looked horrendous, but it did the job. And it was, about after a couple of months of Lou using it, she's like, I actually think, and I don't use a Kindle. I've never used a Kindle. So I was just kind of like, oh, you dropped it. Okay, here's a solution for it. Off you go. Have a good time. 3 months later, Lou's like, I can't live without this thing. I think people might really want it and then need it. And so then we did some research, which told us there's absolutely no market for it because there wasn't a market for it. It didn't exist. And so we just kind of went slowly with it at first. We did some prototypes and got our friends to test it who had Kindles. We had, and then we sort of put it online, didn't we, and did some free samples in lieu of reviews and things, to give us feedback. And that's how it kind of evolved.
Yeah.
We sort of went through about 3 prototypes, and within 6 months we had the finished product.
Yeah.
Amazing. And were you surprised when you came up with the idea? And I'm sure you did that point where you Googled it to see if someone else has already done it when you're thinking about making it a business or even before that. Were you surprised that it didn't exist?
Yeah. On Amazon, there are a couple of kind of ugly, functional-looking fabric straps. But as a category, it didn't really exist. People weren't searching for Kindle strap, a little bit of search for Kindle holder. So I think it was surprising that someone hadn't kind of cornered that section of the market yet. People were using pop sockets as a way to hold their Kindle. That was probably our biggest competitor, indirect competitor. So no, but I did remember we got a guy on Fiverr to do some research in terms of the category on Amazon. And he came back and said, don't do this.
Yeah.
There's hardly any search volume. Don't bother. And being, naive inventors, and I think all of us that, had the bit of naive optimism that because we have a solution for a problem, someone else is going to want to use it. We went ahead with it. Thank God.
That's amazing. And was it a no-brainer for you to work together? So when it was kind of like, oh, this could be a business, was it a no-brainer that you worked together on it?
Yeah, it's a bit weird one because we've worked together for about 6 years. We're both in the advertising industry, and so Ben's creative. He can't project manage to save himself. I'm a project manager. I don't really like being the creative. So very complementary skill sets. And then it was really just a case of Ben came up with an idea, but because I was on mat leave, and thank God Archie was a good sleeper, I had this time, and because I'd had a couple of side hustles, I knew how to build a website. I knew how to create a community. I was listening to a shed load of podcasts, including yours. And so I was able to kind of drive it forward. And then Ben actually went back to his full-time job. So I was really just pushing the business forward.
Yeah. Ben, as a creative, did you think you'd be going around China fairs anytime soon? That seems a long way away from a creative world and ad agency.
It is so far removed. I was like I've been so much out of my comfort zone because normally in agency world you have like this lovely accoutrement of people and processes and things to help you kind of, steer towards the deadline or whatever project you're working on. And this is kind of a lot more independent, and we just got to sort of just do whatever we can to kind of make it work and just dive into it. And being in China, like the complexities of China, I think there's a lot of naivety but optimism in what you're doing. Like, you don't know what you don't know, but you're excited to kind of take the next step. And so, being in China, not knowing, no one speaking English, not knowing you can't pay with certain cards, and like, it was quite a struggle. This was actually my second time. I was there 4 weeks ago, and then for Canton Fair, I was back again because we're developing new products. So I had to go and see the manufacturers anyway, and just sort of did the Canton Fair at the same time. So,
but very different worlds. And I think what's been quite amazing for Ben is he's like an award-winning creative director. We're both working on CommBank, Woolies, big multi-million-dollar brands, to then come into your own realm with zero budget, and he's still able to come up with really cool creative ideas. But I think it's a very different universe, the e-com marketing world, and so having to adjust.
Yeah, our budgets are a bit smaller than CommBank and Woolies, I think, just a touch.
Yeah.
Oh, now you've got Davy's money, just CommBank.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
We'll go pitch in.
But Lou, it sounds like you had the kind of the startup bug happening before Strapsicle anyway, with a couple of those side projects.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to a girlfriend. Don't forget that you're like a 20-year success story in the making here, because I think I always wanted to do something, but I was caught in the corporate advertising world pretty early. And, I had some life coach notes from when I was in London to open a sushi restaurant or do a dance studio. I don't know. So I tried a couple of side hustles. They didn't work, or I figured out what I didn't like. And then just landing on a product-based business has just been, the game changer. But you learn a whole lot of skills along the way, don't you?
Well, you must have learnt a lot along the way, because on Shark Tank, part of your pitch was that you did $1.5 million in your second year of operation, which is impressive. But the impressive part is that there's $300K in profit of that 1.5, which is phenomenal for a second year startup. What did you put in place, firstly, from a marketing perspective, to generate that revenue? And then second, to make sure it was profitable? Might start with the generating that revenue to start with, because, that's the Kickstarter.
Look, I think for us, I will say from the beginning, and again, this didn't come through on Shark Tank, 70% of our revenue still comes from organic marketing, which I think I'm really proud of. So we've always had a focus on bringing customers in through organic means, and a big part of that is building the community, building this community of Kindle obsessives that become brand advocates. So at the very beginning, I fell into this world of book talk. I'd never heard of it. And for your listeners who don't know, it's over 1 billion accounts, reading accounts, particularly women who love their books, love showing off their books, love showing off their reading situations. And there's a huge segment of Kindle users in that. So I just went out there and I approached micro-influencers. I heard that saying early on, do the things that don't scale. So I spent a hell of a lot of time in people's inboxes saying, hey, can I give you a product? I always try to nail the brand story. Small Aussie business, drop the Kindle on my baby's head. Can I give you a sample? If you like it, I'll give you an affiliate code. And everyone said yes, because it was quite a novel product. It was a novel product, novel category. And so from there, I immediately had this trust from all these influencers. So their word of mouth was going to be far more powerful than me putting out a paid ad. So just focused on building that community. And then when we launched on Amazon, you've obviously we launched in the US and Australia at the same time, because why not? And then we were able to tap into all these Amazon affiliates in the US. It's such a big thing over there. And I was able to then give them discount codes on top of their affiliate status. And so they were able to incentivize their followers to come through. And just by getting a few big ones hooked, like we've been able to explode our Amazon sales again and again from this kind of, they would make a TikTok about us that would go viral. And because it was specifically to the book talk community, to the Kindle talk community, it was so niche, like it was reaching our audience almost 100% of the time. So that's how we've really been able to do it.
Do you think you would have done that Amazon strategy if you had a product that wasn't closely tied to an Amazon product, like Kindle is an Amazon product? Is that the connection, or did you see that as the way to get in front of eyeballs regardless of what the product is?
No, it's the Kindle affiliation to Amazon. It's only relevant for us in that our ideal customer is spending, obviously they're on Amazon buying Kindles. Why not buy some straps? But any product on Amazon, I mean, I speak to a lot of business owners who are scared of Amazon. They're scared of it, A, from a copycat perspective, or B, from the fees they take. And I think people they're too narrow in their focus on it. Like, if you think about it as a way to reach millions and millions of customers at a fraction of the cost of acquisition that you would have to do one-on-one for your own store. I mean, giving up some fees that aren't as high as a wholesale margin, it kind of sits in the middle. It's that kind of hybrid model. And I think, Nathan, you shared the latest retail report that said Amazon is jumping ahead again as one of the most popular retailers in Australia. So for me, it's kind of why wouldn't you be on there?
I think I read it was like 70% of people actually start their shopping journey on the Amazon platform
in the US.
And so you're like, well, you've got a hot audience, and that's a huge percentage of people. And so, yeah, it just seemed like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
In hindsight.
I just want to go back to what you were saying there about community as well. What I love about your approach there was that you went, who can I get excited about this strap and create a community around that? It was like, what does this strap mean to people? It means that people can enjoy their books, which they love. They'll like the strap because it allows them to love their books. So how do we get involved with the books? It's the end result, isn't it? That's the community you want to be involved in.
Well, I mean, these people already love the Kindle and love reading, and all you're doing is just adding a layer of extra enjoyment on that, because holding a Kindle, holding it like the way people hold it is just silly. I mean, in time, it's going to drop, or you're going to get wrist pain, but if you can enable people to have an even better experience with something they already love, you're off to the races, and they're going to tell everyone about it in that community.
And you're also adding a fashion aesthetic.
Ben, from continuing on that Amazon piece, is like Lou mentioned that a lot of people might be scared of Amazon because potential ripoff or Amazon creating their own product that's a like product. How do you approach this from a design perspective? Because obviously you've got an eye on copycats around the world potentially coming in on that. How do you come up with new ways to keep this interesting and that you maintain your USP?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously you've got to first and foremost protect what you've created. So in terms of patents and trademarks, but you're right. In various markets, you can play a game of whack-a-mole a bit where very similar products come up and you spend costs legally trying to fight them and shut them down. So that's just a spiral we didn't want to kind of play in. We just wanted to kind of keep moving forward with the product development. And that can be everything from, colors and patterns. And to go back to our community, we've got a group called the Strap Circle, which has got 700 people in Facebook. And we sort of tip ideas into that group, and they also come back to us with ideas. And so the community is helping us actually improve the product and evolve it and, add new styles and colors and stuff. So there's that element. And then there's obviously, I've got quite a long product development, roadmap. Yes. Thank you, Lou. Roadmap for the next 12 to 18 months.
To do.
A long list of shit to do, which will mean I have to go to China at least 10 more times.
Yeah. I'd rather it was 6 months, not 18 months.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I'm sure you'll turn it to 6 months.
Yeah.
But my plan is to kind of develop it over the next year or so, and it's got quite a long, I get a lot of different stages in the product development. There's my end goal, and then all the steps in between, which will keep us ahead of everybody else, I believe.
But I think the other thing, and again, it didn't quite come out as it should have on Shark Tank. I thought we did. We gave quite a comprehensive answer. It's about a product development roadmap. It's about finding ways to differentiate the product, but also building the brand and the power of brand. And that's what our community efforts have done. And I think that's now, I mean, if you look at the search volume around Strapsicle, and the way we've actually built the category even on Amazon, I think any brand out there, that has to be your biggest focus, because there's going to be competitors. Touch wood, we haven't had a direct one yet, but they're going to come. So we just need to be the name that people are asking for.
And when you talk about brand, what do you mean by that? Because obviously we've got community there, so you mean something to your community. Is there anything else that goes into building brand that is kind of creates a moat around your product?
Absolutely. That's kind of our background is building brands and protecting brands. And so everything from obviously the customer experience. The customer is always at the center of what we do. And so we make sure we've got a really good communication network with them if there's problems and things like that. So they have a good experience with the brand. There's quality, obviously, in that as well. And then there's, just the promotion and the actual marketing that adds that layer of emotional connection to our product. I think it is a practical product, but I think people connect with it more emotionally first and then rationalize almost the practicality of it, going, I'd love to get that thing, the accessory for my Kindle. It looks great. It also does this great thing of not dropping the device. So I think we've got that on our side in terms of some strengths in terms of our experience.
And I think too, and especially as a smaller business, the founder story and the kind of behind the scenes-ness of the founder story, I think that just really helps bolster, and that also helps differentiate us hugely from those other products, I call them on Amazon. They don't have that richness to their story. So I think just brands that can play on that and play that up as much as possible is going to give you an advantage as well.
Founded in 1927, Strand bags have been loved by Australians for decades. But with age comes baggage. Well, digital baggage to be precise. When COVID impacted their physical footprint, Strand bags decided it was time to put it all on the table and renew their relationship with their customers. They went looking for their happily ever after with Shopify Plus. And so far, it's a beautiful match. Launching a new e-commerce site for Australia and New Zealand, Strandbag saw a 30% increase in conversion rate in Australia and, get this, 300% increase in conversion rate in New Zealand. Love is definitely in the air and across the ditch. To read more of Strandbag's story and see other case studies, visit the customer sections on shopify.com.au/plus. You guys do such an amazing job of that on TikTok and LinkedIn, of taking people behind the scenes in the real life of what you're doing, whether it's, you guys sitting down at a table at a restaurant at 8 p.m, still working through emails, or in the warehouse. You seem to do a really good job of taking people on this journey with you. Is that important for you?
Yeah.
It used to wind me up no end. Lou, right in the early stages, Lou is filming things and showing things. I'm like, what are you doing? We're trying to get stuff done. And to her credit, she knew where that ability to connect with customers behind the scenes was really important, and that we had to kind of let people come behind the curtain and see what we were doing and come on the journey with us, because then they become advocates when they kind of see what you're doing, what it takes. And but I think it's a two-pronged thing now, right? And someone like Anita Sarkar does it so well. It's the story of your product business, and then it's the story of you as the brand and the founders. And people just are hungry for that information. I was when I was starting out, and that's why I think it's wild that I'm now sitting here talking to you, because I was listening to you, interviewing people, and I was like, oh wow, they're amazing. So I think the more I've always been I love to spray a message anywhere. If I find something exciting, I love to tell everyone about it, and it always lands for someone. So that's always been my modus operandi.
That's cool. I was reading something the other day. I can't remember what it was, but it was a founder, and they said something around what's, something that you regret around your journey. And he's like, I actually regret not taking more photos and videos in the early scrappy stages for us to look back on and enjoy now, because at the time it didn't seem exciting, didn't seem interesting. But if I look back to how we were doing things back then, I would be fascinated by that now and be amazed at how far we've come.
Yeah. And so for Shark Tank, part of our marketing plan, promotion plan, was creating a whole bunch of organic reels and videos that told the story, the founder story. So that forced us to go back into the archives, pull everything out, get it organized. So I think absolutely any founder out there, that's the number one thing I would say. Don't scrimp on that, because that stuff you'll look back and go, oh, whoa.
I wouldn't say it's the number one thing. It's certainly up there. I'd probably make sure you've got product market fit.
No, I'm all about storytelling.
All that stuff sorts itself out, Ben. Just take good video on your phone. I want to talk about that profitability figure, because I know this is just the start of your journey and you've got much bigger goals, and it's only going to grow from here. But that is an incredible achievement for year two. Were there any rules or boundaries that you set yourself when you were establishing Strapsicle to make sure that it was set up for profit from the get-go?
None whatsoever. We are so green with numbers, and Suzanne, our business coach, is incredible, and she's like the ex-CFO
Green
of Annie
numbers
Gates. So
slash
thank God for
rubbish
her.
with numbers.
But we've had to be coached hardcore. But I think, look, the thing for us is we have a product, as you could imagine, it's relatively low cost to produce, it's easy to ship. We were both working our jobs. So we had income coming in through year one and through half of year two. So I finished up February this year. So I think that helped. We didn't have to, obviously, business expenses were minimal. We weren't paying ourselves a wage. And then, as I said, we ran this really lean operation. I mean, I was doing this 2 days a week, working my corporate job 3 days a week, doing this 2 days a week, and on weekends, any waking hours I could get. Ben was working full time, looking after Archie. We had nannies in and out of the house all the time. But I think lean operation in terms of team, and then lean in terms of marketing channels. We weren't pouring money into ads, which I think a lot of new businesses do. We've been quite scrappy with our marketing efforts. And then we had Amazon. And actually, I was quite nervous going into Shark Tank. I had to get over this kind of thought of they'll just see us as an Amazon business. And I had to work through that with a couple of coaches. But actually, it's actually created a lot of success for us, because to grow on Amazon and to be successful on Amazon, you actually it's very little effort relative to building your marketing channels for your website. And so if you can scale successfully on Amazon, make a lot of money through Amazon, you can then bring that money back through to the rest of your business. So in a way, we were able to almost create a business that didn't require a huge amount of effort. We very much focused on Amazon with the limited time we had. So building that up successfully to now, once we go full time, we can now focus on these other sales channels.
And I saw that you have recently spent some time overseas, especially in the US, going to trade shows and really immersing yourself in the e-commerce industry over there. Is a lot of that Amazon talk coming from what you're hearing, what you're seeing, and how e-commerce is done in the US versus how we view it here in Australia?
That's a really good point. I think we found we went to New York now as a trade fair, and we found over there buyers and retailers, if they knew you're on Amazon, for them, that was validation. That was like, tick, great, you're successful. All right, let's get you in my store.
If you can make it there, their head is like, if you can make it there, you can make it into retail, into bricks and mortar stores, because you're in this platform where people can just literally move the arrow left to right and change and get something different, right? It's just, and impulse decisions and a pivot can be from a star rating to go and look at another product. So it's actually quite difficult to make it on Amazon's. So, a lot of the American companies were like, well, you got Amazon's choice. Hey, you're good in my book.
Yeah.
Any tricks that you've found to being more successful on Amazon in your journey so far?
I think, honestly, working with influencers and driving, Amazon rewards you for driving that off-platform traffic to Amazon. So the more traffic you're bringing there, working with influencers and those affiliate codes, email marketing. Every time I send an email, my US audience gets the chance to shop on Amazon. Why wouldn't I give them the experience they want? And all of our organic socials, we've just hired some content creators about 5 months ago in the US, and they've been blowing us up, taking us viral on TikTok and Instagram, and that traffic is just all flowing through to Amazon. So the more you can drive traffic to them, the more they're going to reward you. I mean, they have a whole referral program. They give you 10% back on every sale if you're using attribution links. I mean, it's a win-win.
I would say, though, with Amazon, don't try and do it yourself.
Yeah.
You need to engage an agency, or you will become an expert at it with a lot of videos and podcasts potentially. But we engage an agency, and there's a very different way of doing Amazon than there is to kind of doing it on your website or doing it anywhere else. So you need to follow the best practice in that space. And I say don't just make a store overnight and think people are going to come.
Yeah, there is an algorithm you've got to work with, and there's, the SEO deliverables, etc. So, you want to get all that right too.
Yeah. Awesome. So, looking forward, where does the growth come from here? I'm really interested in all aspects, because You're obviously going international and expanding out to more markets. You've got investment now. You've got some great partners in Davey and Robert on board. If I start from the product perspective, I was really interested on Shark Tank where you talked about licensing and the opportunities that might become available to you from that perspective. Talk to me about how you even start navigating the world of licensing for Strapsicle.
Well, obviously there's the book publishers, which have, so there's a lot of very passionate readers out there who are reading these trilogies and whatnot of these different book series. And so connecting with the publishers and seeing if we can do a special arrangement with, colors, patterns, stickers, whatever that connects with the readers. So that's sort of one avenue.
I'd say fashion and pop culture would be the other avenue. Definitely opportunities for collabs with different brands in those spaces. And then utility, I think, is the other thing we're really interested in. So someone was throwing around July Luggage the other day, like a collaboration with them. Stanley Cups, I would love. Have you seen how they have all those little accessories that you can clip onto the cup? I would love to create some kind of product that the two could work together. So I think we actually probably need to sit down. We have all these ideas. We've sent some emails. We are talking to a couple of people, but we need to probably strategize it quite clearly. Probably need to do someone's partnership course and work out which way, what's going to be the focus, because as you can imagine, there's so many focuses at the moment.
Have you discovered new use cases along the way? Because obviously, your story of having the Kindle late at night, you're tired, you drop the Kindle. That story is your story. But as you've been connected to your community and you've heard from your customers, have you heard other use cases for Strapsicle that you weren't expecting?
Yeah. And this is what's quite wild. Simon Sinek talks about find your why in all this. And so when we launched this, obviously, problem solution. We found all these Kindle obsessives on TikTok. But what we started to get through the reviews were older customers who had arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. Younger ones too, with nerve damage, who literally were struggling to hold books or hold their Kindles. And then all of a sudden, this happens, this product comes along, changes their reading game. I got a message, and I have saved it, from a woman who has cerebral palsy, and she said, I don't think you're even going to see this, but you've literally changed my life. I couldn't read anymore. And it's actually giving me chills now, but now I can read again, and I love it so much, all because of your straps. And we had no idea we could make an impact like that. So that's a whole nother audience and marketing stream we haven't really even touched yet.
Yeah. And does that then, obviously the impact that has on you as an individual is huge, knowing that you can help someone reignite their passion, something that means a lot to them. That's pretty special. But then for you, does it change how you view your business in terms of you've suddenly gone from making it comfortable for people to read books to an accessibility product? Do you start thinking about all the ways you can make other things more accessible for people?
So I think if you have a Kindle, you absolutely get what this product can do, right? Instantly. People who don't have Kindles, they kind of look at it and they go, well, that'd be great if there were straps for an iPad or straps for a phone, because, then I wouldn't drop my phone or my iPad. And initially we were very much like, absolutely, you're going to put straps on everything. But then what that starts to do is dilute your market and who you're targeting. And so we're kind of in this dichotomy at the moment, which is, do we stay focused on e-readers, or we do actually, and then add more around that experience, or do we actually start putting straps on other devices? And so we're kind of at this crossroads at the moment of that, because there are complexities in iPads and phones because the buttons can get covered and things like that. So,
but we're close. We're close.
We're close. We're close.
Purist.
Yeah. So it's a good question, Nathan. We're literally in a crossroads on it. I am doing product development in that space too, just to see if we can do it and it can work. But for me, I think right now our focus needs to be on the e-reader audience and making sure they know about us and love us.
Do you expect that kind of scenario, and I'm sure there'll be a bunch of other scenarios where you are at crossroads, is something that you will lean on Davey and Robert for input on? Like, what do you expect that relationship to be like?
Yeah, I think what people probably don't know is you do the deal, and then there's a fair few weeks that pass. They went and they carried on filming. We went to New York, and then we come back, and it's like, right now it's due diligence. So we're working through the financial due diligence, but we're also working through, I guess, the value exchange as well. And we can see, though, from our early conversations, I mean, I think the ability for someone, let's say Davey, we have a conversation with him and he can almost accelerate a hypothesis or a way of thinking. He can give us resources to look at. He can give us people to talk to. So, yeah, absolutely. I think with anyone, an investor, we've got 3 coaches and 2 coaching programs we're in, but
The losing.
The diamond. Sorry, it's all me. I just have always said cut a check to go faster. So I think being able to pay someone, whether it's for investment or cash, to get the answer quicker is like hands down, it's the best thing you can do for your business.
What's been the best shortcut advice you've had so far?
I guess because there's so many different moving parts, everything from understanding finances to product development to little things, that there are kind of quick wins everywhere, but there's not something that's been a huge step change. I think where we kind of,
I think the biggest thing for me was listing on Amazon US, because if we'd just gone Amazon Australia, we wouldn't be talking to you now. We wouldn't be on Shark Tank. So I would say taking the naive risk, just not really thinking too much about implications, just jumping in and doing that was the trajectory for the business in year 2.
But that wasn't anyone who told us, sort of that experience meant, quick, you're quick.
I feel like there's so many things on the
there are. It's funny, but it's hard to
but
kind of
some of all those things, right, that speed you up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we have been successful from standing on the shoulders of giants that have gone before. I must say, like your
actually,
network,
I would have to do a shout out. Lisa Jones, Nathan, and the first, SheCom, the first 3 months of the business, I went to the SheCom Live conference, and I was such this wide-eyed business owner going, how are all these women making 6 figures a month? Oh, I want that to be me. And that probably was the acceleration point. Then I went to the Bali retreat. Then this year, last month, I was speaking on stage with Lisa. So what a ride. But I think at every, that SheCom community has really helped shortcut a lot of decisions for us.
But I think looking at the outside too, Lou, is like, I've known you just from listening, and you'd email me when I sent emails out, you'd respond, we'd kind of have back and forth on LinkedIn before we even met each other. But even though you were so busy, right? Like mum, new business, we're still working in advertising for some of this. You made the time to be curious and to go out and be part of those communities and go to the conferences and listen to the podcast, but not only consume, but reach out and talk to the people that you needed to talk to, which a lot of people don't do. They just sit back and consume and wait for it to all make sense in the head. But I think you've been very proactive in it.
That's how we are, the opposite. I'm so in awe of Lou's network and Lou's tenacity of just going out and trying to connect with people. And she calls it shooting her shot. When we were exhibiting in New York, there was the ABC, the Broadcasting Corporation, they came by.
Good Morning America.
Good Morning America, sorry. Team. Good Morning America team came by. And Lou was like, oh, they're over there. And she's just straight at them. And I'm always very passive. I'm kind of like, holding back and just, but she's just straight in there and sort of connecting with them. And that's now led to us being on a show in America. So Lou's all about shooting the shot, connecting people, saying yes to things. Whereas I would have failed if I didn't have her, because I am not that person at all.
But even like Retail Fest earlier this year, right? And that was our first foray. I was full-time and on the business, and it just felt like such a fish out of water there. Just had never even been to anything like that. And I was like, oh, look at all these business owners. But you just kind of got to do a little bit of fake to make. But I shot my shot with Simon Beard.
That's right. I remember you told me this.
After he spoke, went up and just started waffling on about strap school, but gave him some straps because he is a Kindle reader. But I think, and then I've started kind of just being that stalker, messaging him, tagging him in posts, But eventually it culminates in something. You get on people's radars eventually. So it's not that I want to do it. I mean, I love a bit of recognition, but I think it is just about the joy of this community and the passion everyone has, but also it just feels like it's such a natural fit for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, it feels like you've always been a part of it. Like, the impact that you've had straight away. And like, I don't feel like you're doing it to, you know what I mean? Where there's some people you're like, oh, they're just trying to get in people's faces. You are like literally, you are very curious, but also giving, like, you want to hear both sides of the story, and it is a natural conversation, and you've approached it in the perfect way. So I think there's a big lesson there for a lot of people, that this is a space where everyone should be and should be talking and sharing ideas, because it doesn't matter what stage you're at, everyone can learn from everyone.
100%. And you cannot do it on your own. I keep thinking about this. I don't know if it's sort of a male ego thing, but men seem to almost want to try and beat people, and they don't ask for help as much, or at least is my experience. They don't ask for help as much. I think what's great about the female network and the female founder network is that everyone's there supporting each other and helping each other and lifting everybody up, which is wonderful to see. It feels quite different to how I've seen business sort of run in the past.
Yeah.
Which is why Ben's going to start HECOM.
Yeah, that's right.
You want to be the first? You want to be the first member, Nathan?
Yep.
Lisa hasn't trademarked that yet.
Send your hate mail.
What does HECOM involve? We must have a much dumber version of it.
Yeah, it's just a dulled down version. It's no one talks to each other.
No sequins. No pink.
Yep.
Black t-shirts.
Black t-shirts. That's right. We wear our officer uniform.
Yeah, I love it.
Cute though.
But I love that you've come in, created this community and been part of it, and now you've moved to Bali. What inspired that?
Cozy living. No, we both found ourselves full time in the business. Archie's 3, so we don't have to think about school for a while. And we were a 2-bedroom apartment in Bondi, as you can imagine, a bit cramped. And we thought, why not go carve the cost of living, live more high vibe in Bali with some nice weather. Let's get some help, because we had no family around us in Sydney. So we've come here. We've been here 6 weeks. We're struggling with the heat, Ben in particular.
I am struggling with the heat.
But we have, we've got a housekeeper 6 days a week. We've got a nanny 30 hours a week. And we're starting to learn how to game the system. We're starting to learn how to use that WhatsApp to get whatever you need. So. And
Archie's loving it too. He is just like a new kid. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So he's really important. He's obviously the most important thing. And so, making sure that he's happy here as well is really key.
So if anyone's thinking about it, it was a huge decision. I couldn't stop crying the day we left. I was just in the taxi van just wailing away. The guy probably thought I was mad. But as soon as we got here, I haven't thought twice about Bondi. So, it'll be a big shock, but it's definitely, we're not looking back.
Well done. You're doing it your way. I love it.
Yeah, the only challenge is the US time zone, I think.
Oh, yeah. So what US time zone is total opposite?
Yeah, to 12 hours at least. So that's okay for me because I'm an early bird. So 6 a.m., 6:30 calls is okay to do that. Yeah.
All right, Lou and Ben, what an amazing story so far. And this is just the start. I would love to do this interview again in a couple of years because it's going to be so different again. But what is next for you? Obviously, you're still working through what the fallout of Shark Tank looks like in terms of finalizing that deal and your involvement with Davey and Robert. But then, say for the next 12 months, what is your focus areas?
Yeah, we talked about this on the show. Our big focus is US expansion through big retail. We actually were lucky to meet Barnes & Noble buyer when we went to New York now, so working through that, but just really growing into retail, expanding into more marketplaces with Amazon. So why not replicate that success to new countries, even new marketplaces? We are looking at Temu in the US as a curated brand opportunity, and then new products, right?
Yeah. Lots of new products coming.
Yeah.
The Temu side of it, how does it compare in terms of seller terms to Amazon? Is it still favorable?
This is what's intriguing us. So we had the guy come up to us at New and Now. We've had a couple of calls with Ron, and basically they're not concerned about profit at this stage, are they? They're just concerned about now shifting their business strategy from factory to consumer to brand to consumer. So direct competition to Amazon. And so they are offering no fees. And if your product starts selling well, they will support you with paid advertising on their dollar. So it's pretty compelling. Doing it by invitation only, calling it a curated brand approach. There's some big brands he's shared that are on there doing it now. So we just have to kind of assess, I think, the impact it could have on our brand favorability from a customer perspective. But I think, watch the space. I know, Nathan, you were talking about Timu from that retail report, watch the space in a year, how that shift is going to happen in their business strategy. Be very interesting.
Amazing. Oh, that's fascinating. I love that. So I am sure that you have inspired so many people with your story so far. And if people want to maybe get in touch or perhaps get Strapsicle for their very own Kindle, what's the best way to get in touch or to learn more?
Well, you can head to our website, strapsicle.com, and luckily we have an epic Black Friday sale about to drop, so get on that VIP list. And then otherwise, go follow us on Instagram or TikTok. You're going to get some great, hilarious Kindle-related content, possibly with a bit of smart in there as well, so watch out for that.
What more could you want in life?
Exactly right. A little bit of light relief.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining us on Add to Cart.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. See ya.
How special is that to get an insight into the Shark Tank experience just weeks after going to air and before the deal has even been completed? I love how transparent Lou and Ben were with that process, especially that moment that caught them off guard where they had 4 offers in front of them. And again, while Shark Tank seems to be the overnight success, as we heard from Lou, this is years in the making. It's a collective build-up of skills and experiences in adjacent industries, and I'm so stoked to see them both having the success that they are with Strapsicle. Here are my 3 top takeaways from this chat. Number 1, pitch presentation. Lou and Ben didn't just show up to Shark Tank. They prepared for every possible question and scenario. There was no way that they were winging this. They ran mock interviews, used AI to predict shark-like questions, and workshopped answers with their business coach. Their dedication obviously paid off as they very confidently navigated the Shark Tank grilling session. It's a great example for anyone facing a make or break moment, whether it's an important conversation that you need to have at work or a multi-million-dollar deal. Spend time thinking through potential scenarios and responses to get your best outcome. Don't wing it and avoid the stage fright. Number 2, create community before sales. Rather than taking a traditional marketing route, Lou and Ben tapped Book Talk, where Kindle lovers connect. See, for them, they knew that the attachment to Strapsicle was via the passion for books, not the passion for their product. Lou spent time reaching out directly to micro-influencers in this niche, giving products and sharing the authentic Strapsicle story. This approach has brought them dedicated customers who don't just buy, they advocate. It's a powerful reminder to find your audience first and let the sales follow from there. And number 3, the Amazon advantage. Starting with Amazon wasn't just a sales choice for Strapsicle. It wasn't like they were just chasing cash. It was a springboard for reaching international markets. By launching in the US right away, they tapped into a huge customer base without the heavy costs of individual acquisition. They even used Amazon's affiliate program to incentivize influencers, building both traffic and credibility quickly, even though they had to send customers, first-time customers, directly to Amazon. It has worked really well. For brands hesitant about Amazon, really worth listening to Lou's advice to think beyond the fees and see the reach. It's another strategy for you to consider. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you love this episode, please consider sharing it with someone who you think would enjoy the story as well. And don't forget to leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. As always, a huge thanks to our sponsors, Shopify Plus and Deliver in Person, for helping make these conversations possible. Before you go, we'd love to invite you to join our free e-commerce learning platform, Add to Cart Campus. Meet other professionals and learn from e-commerce experts to take your business and your e-commerce career to the next level. Register to join Campus at addtocart.com.au/campus. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you share it with a friend or a colleague, or even better, leave us a review on Spotify or Apple. It really makes a difference.